provincial education departments. To all our guests, as well as our presenters, we acknowledge your presence, but over and above that, last but not the least, let's also acknowledge the presence of our most precious and honored guests, that is all the educators present, even those that may not be able to join, including all the support staff, the support education personnel. You are acknowledged. At this stage, I will call upon the Deputy Minister, but let me introduce to you our Deputy Minister, Dr. Mhaule, who started her career as an educator in 1980. And in the year 2000, after having served as an educator for about 20 years, Dr. Mhaule, our Deputy Minister, was appointed Speaker of Council in Bombela Local Municipality, a position she occupied until 2003, when she became the Executive Mayor of the same municipality. In 2009, she was appointed as the MEC for the Mpumalanga Department of Education until February 2018, when she was appointed as the Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation. Dr. Mhaule is our current Deputy Minister of Basic Education, having been appointed on the 29th May 2019 to date. Our Deputy Minister, thank you very much. May you please open our ceremony as well as welcome everybody. Thank you very much, Deputy Minister.
Thank you so much, Program Director, Mr. MJ Halurale, the Director in the ERC. Greetings to Minister of Basic Education, Ume Enji Mutsecha, the Commissioners for Gender Equality, Managing Director of Kulumandoda, Men's Social Movement, Ubaba Upatrick Shai, Director for Governance, Transformation and Security in the Department of Women, Youth and People with Disability, Umama Unomsa Noba, representatives from the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, reps of our teacher unions, as it has been correctly indicated. Greetings to you, Me, Mateja Manzana from Peu, Marina Baselin from Sawo, Cynthia Barnes from Snatu, Tirona Moodley from Naptosa, Tutunkosi from Satu, CEO of SAYS, and all members present, General Secretary of the ELRC, and all representatives present. In absentia, I was told the DG is here, but we greet him in absentia. All Deputy Director General, Senior Managers and staff present from both DBE and provinces. Esteemed guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Sanbonan, I am honored to have been given the opportunity to say a few words at this event designed to address the issues of gender-based violence in the workplace. The event is correctly themed. Do not ignore the signs. Let me also take this opportunity to also thank the coordinators of this seminar, which is the first of its own kind in our department, and hope that this won't be the last one. I'm humbled and excited to see these happenings in the department because basic education is the first step that leads everyone to the desired future. It is a solid foundation for future for all people in the whole world. We are also joined by the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development and the Department of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities, together with the Commission for Gender Equality. These are the key departments in addressing the injustices perpetrated upon women in our country and also ensuring the importance of the rule of law on gender equality. We acknowledge your contribution to initiatives that promotes gender equality in South Africa. Of course, Program Director, when we talk about gender equality, we are not just talking about the interests of women. We talk about the kinds of changes that women of 1956 have fought for. And I know that these women got it from the women of 1913, which were led by the icon, our mother, Mam Charlotte Manye Maxeke, who arranged a march to the office of the mayor of Mangaung, Bloemfontein at the time. Of course, it didn't go well, but she started, and women started in 1913, and 1956 women take heed from that. That's why our government declared this year the year of Charlotte Manye Maxeke, who, if she was still living, was going to be 150 years this year. We salute these women because they brought improvements not only for women, but for the whole country and the whole world. They have sought to change the mindset and cultural beliefs that a man is seen as a powerful and can take over the agency of a woman. History, women had a very different role in the workplace than they do now. Gone are the days when men are the workers and women are the homemakers. Today, we are proud to announce that women are slowly but surely striving for workplace equality, thanks to the generation of women, among them the women of 1956, as I alluded to earlier on. The fight against gender-based violence and femicide and for the gender equality needs collaborators and men like our own Ubaba Patrick Shai, the managing director of Kulumandoda organization. These are men who raise their voices and support women to fight for equality. Organizations like Kulumandoda are mobilizing men to take steps towards gender equality, and we are proud of their work. Keep encouraging others, Babshai, to stand up, fight gender-based violence against women and children. Program Director, this seminar and many like this one, it is in this Women's Month that have given us an opportunity to reflect on our work and commitment on the department, as the Department of Basic Education and its stakeholders, on the initiative that promotes quality education in South Africa. Quality education starts with job satisfaction and of employees. In South Africa, more women have been murdered as a result of gender-based violence and femicides, and many continue to suffer abuse in their homes and at work. What is worrying is the fact that reports of gender-based violence are often dismissed by the police, who perceive the issues as a private matter for families rather than a criminal matter for the courts. It is a fact that gender-based violence and femicides in its many forms can affect the health of people who are its targets, including the community in which they live. The impact of gender-based violence on a woman's employment has clear adverse consequences for her economic security and independence. This is a concern that has not widely addressed. Hence, we met today to address these issues. Since the health consequences of gender-based violence and sexual harassment in the workplace include depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, we believe that this might be the cause for concern concerning the rate of absenteeism and the increased number of incapacity leave cases in the education sector and in all the workplace, where women will be taken as people who are inferior, who would not want to work because of what they face every day. If I may highlight on this, our Constitution provides for the right of equality and condemns any form of unfair discrimination. It also guarantees every employee the right to fair labor practice. The Employment Equity Act condemns and discourages any form of harassment, not forgetting the Occupational Health and Safety Act, which provides that employer must, as far as is reasonably practicable, provide and maintain a working environment that is safe and without risk to the health of employees. Program Director, allow me to say these encouraging words to our women in the workforce. I would like to encourage you to let your talent and passion thrive, regardless of your age, looks, or gender. Stand up for what you believe in. Do not allow anyone to make you feel worthless. Speak up against gender-based violence and
evidence really prompted me to pen to just repeat some of the lines that come from a poem which was written by Tari Nyamayaro. And she says, I quote, "I woke up today and realized I was 18 years old. Like the sun came and I realized that I have existed in this earth for about 6,570 days. Seeing being a woman in this country, my life expectancy has been significantly shortened. And I realized by the time I'm 90, I'll be probably dead or on the way to dying. So I thought it would be important to prepare for my funeral, to audition for the role of the corpse. And I really like people to read, encourage to read people to read this poem, which is contained in a book called A Time Like No Other. And I think all of us as women, we can relate to this fear that is carried by Tari, because even as you drive around as a woman in this country, you always have a feeling that you are going to be attacked. Not attacked because people want your car only, but attacked also because you're a woman, and the attack also has to do with your body harm. I know government is seized with this matter, including crafting the new amendments to strengthen the gender-based related legislations to better protect survivors and victims. Last year, the president announced far-reaching changes to the gender-based violence laws in our country. He announced that 3 key bills have been introduced to Parliament as part of government's promise to gender-based violence and activities for women. The 3 amendment bills are designed to fill the gap that allows some perpetrators of these crimes to evade it, to really close the gaps where these perpetrators of crimes evade justice, and it's meant to give full effect to the rights of our country's women and children. And the first bill to amend the criminal law, the Sexual Offences and Related Matters, the Amendment Act, will create a new offense of sexual intimidation. It also extends the scope of incest and widens the reporting duty of those who suspect sexual offenses committed against children. And it takes the mantra, if you see something, say something and do something about it. So with the amendments to the National Register of Sex Offenders, it will include formation on all sex offenders, not just the particulars of those convicted of sex crimes committed against children or persons with mental disabilities. Offenders will also remain on the register for a more extended period, and the register will be made public. Criminal and related amendments bill will also intensify the granting of bail to perpetrators of gender-based violence and femicide. And this bill will also expand the offenses of which minimum sentences must be imposed. So the president did acknowledge that people are angry, that many perpetrators of such serious crimes are exploiting legal loopholes to avoid imprisonment, and women are frustrated that sentencing is not often proportionate to the crime. He said the amendments impose new obligations on law enforcement officials. And indeed, I think educators, we can agree that we all need these instruments. But where I come from, as an educator, we all believe prevention is better than cure. What is it that we do implicitly or explicitly that puts this burden on us? Because by the time we go to the justice system, the crime has already been done. The pain is already inflicted. The harm is irreversible. And therefore, if we all believe that gender is a socialized activity, what is it that we do as education to really disrupt patriarchy? I'm glad the ERC is here, that by the time we deal with legislation, SACE is here, that by the time we expose perpetrators of violence against our children or women, but also as educators, and I'm also very happy that we have unions here, to say, as educators, how do we disrupt patriarchy in terms of socialization, that by the time our girl children grow up, by the time our boy children grow up, they really understand the pain and themselves, psychologically, emotionally, and mentally, fight it within themselves first, because we would have socialized them differently. DM will not be correct. For instance, if we don't even look at our language in a text. When I was preparing to come and speak, I was even thinking about things that, what is it that we do explicitly or implicitly that perpetuates violence amongst our young men? Is it because we say to men that it makes them, that it's materialism, that they are not viewed as humans who have value as human beings, but they have value in terms of materialism, and they have to own something. And because they have this culture of knowing that they have to conquer and own, therefore they have to own even the bodies of women as part of their possessions. Because this toxic masculinity is not only dangerous for women, it's also dangerous to men. It has made men completely disposable. They are in the majority of prisoners, they're in the majority of drug addicts, they're in the majority of homeless people, they are violent. What is it that really, in terms of this toxic masculinity, I'm happy that Kulman is here to say, as against Kulman to say, so that Lendoda must understand that by killing these young girls and dismembering her body, it's not only harming her, it does harm the family, it has pained the parents. I can't even imagine what her parents are going through, but you have seen also, it has harmed also his own family. So that people should understand that patriarchy is just dangerous for everybody. So we have to socialize that. Even our idiom in class, what is it that we say to our kids that makes them, especially the men, makes them that they own the world, they own people, they own women, they own their bodies. And they own their emotions. So if the girl wants to break a relationship, it becomes difficult because they are owned by these men. So it become part of their wealth, it becoming komozake. And maybe some of the things that we have to look at and say, this is what perpetuates patriarchy. This is what makes these men the beasts that they have become. And not all of them. Let me really say, there are quite great men that we really work with. And it's very helpful also to get men to support us. We really have to seek partnership with men with positive masculinity. And you have to be able to define it and be able to say, where do we miss it in terms of our definition and our practice? We must not underestimate also on our side the power of disclosure. Deputy Minister, if I have time, I'll tell you, or maybe let me just do it quickly. You know, when I was president for the Women's League, we just felt that one of the things we want to deal with, it's rape, it's gender-based violence, and deal with rape victims. And I had a history that half the time when I'm in meetings, young girls will come and whisper to me to say, you know, Mama, I've been violated. I can't talk about it, but I'm dying inside. And I thought, here am I have a position as the president of the Women's League. Let's go for it. And the current deputy president of the Women's League then organized a seminar in the Free State. On Saturday, she phones me and she had this and say, hey, President, I think we have to can this thing. It's a disaster. She says, all of us here, it's as if we've been raped. Women are screaming, they are crying, so the very people that we thought will help us to help people who are victims of gender-based violence have been violated themselves, are carrying the pain. And now that we say, let's open it up, we're opening their own cans, and there's just, she says, it's chaos here, Mom. So let's can this thing. I don't think we're going to be able to manage it. And that's why I'm saying, just the disclosure itself helps to heal so that we're able to support and heal other people. And indeed, and I really like the theme that we have here, that we should not look back, look aside. We have to speak out, report sexual abuse, but also disclose so that we start healing ourselves so that we can support other people. We know we have our long-standing protocols for the management and reporting of sexual harassment in schools, which was workshopped, I knew. We have also adopted the UNICEF Inspired Indicator Guidance and Results Framework, which is a set of evidence-based strategies for preventing and responding to violence against women. And I'm saying, as educators, if we have to take our rightful position, it's about prevention. Because by the time we go to the justice system and everywhere else, the damage has been done, and half the time it's irreversible. And that's why we have to really concern ourselves about how do we prevent gender-based violence by socializing our children differently and better. So therefore, we should commit ourselves to make sure that all our young people learn under nurturing school environment so that they too can become active citizens of a thriving nation at peace with itself. We have adequate sexual harassment, anti-gender-based violence workshop policies in place for our employees. So what I want to urge ourselves and to our male counterparts today is to join us in stemming the tide of gender-based violence. And I'm saying as the education sector, in terms of prevention, with socializing our kids, disrupting patriarchy, and educating ourselves and our children around toxic masculinity, which has created a very dangerous environment for us as women, but equally a very dangerous environment for men themselves. As I said earlier, Deputy Minister, men's bodies have become disposable. They die in big numbers, they are in streets, they're homeless, they're in prisons, and there is toxic masculinity also, which lands them into the trouble that they get themselves. But what is even painful for us, perhaps if that's what they choose to be disposable, they should not harm women and children. Let them do it to themselves. But I'm sure because they are children, they are our brothers and sisters, we don't want to see them being drug addicts, being street people, and all other things. We need to understand what is it that drives toxic masculinity in terms of our implicit or explicit acts. And there is lots of body of information which also indicate how even ourselves as schools, we perpetuate. I'm sure the chairperson says I must stop. You know, when we deal with teachers, program director, who are used to speaking for a long time. I'm getting in. Okay, Chair.
All yours, Minister.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, let's continue to engage, because we have a very important role. And I don't think if we don't take that position ourselves on the prevention and say, as educationists, what is it that we do implicitly or explicitly to perpetuate patriarchy and not put in place mechanisms of how we can disrupt it, I don't think will be really helpful in terms of advancing this battle around gender-based violence. We are very privileged. We have a special role in society. And I'm saying, I'm glad that we have such seminars. Let's continue to engage around it. We had said that the fight against patriarchy should be 365 days. And I do hope that as a sector will continue to really engage, conduct research, develop understanding of how we're going to disrupt patriarchy in terms of socializing our children differently around gender roles. What it means to be a woman, what it means to be a man, so that there's no toxicity in the process of their growing, and we end up with beasts that we can't even manage. By the end of the day, we have a boyfriend who can dismember the body of a person that they shared good moments with. There's something wrong in terms of the psyche of our children. And what is it that we can do to help them much more earlier so that they don't end up where they are? Program Director, let me thank you most sincerely for the invitation, and thank really the organizers for allowing us or enabling us as a sector to engage with this very important topic. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Minister, our mother, that was the motherly talk that we have listened to. Thank you so much. Indeed, our society is sick. And the men must be in the forefront of this disruption that we have called. We've heard you, and indeed, we will make sure that we disrupt this cycle, we break this cycle, we break away from these shackles and so forth, and we free our mothers, we free our women, we free our girls, so that they enjoy living in this particular country and so forth. Thank you very much, Minister, and also thank you very much, Deputy Minister, for welcoming us. There's nothing that beats the power of dialogue. Thank you very much, Minister and Deputy Minister. At this stage, we have some video clips that we want to share with all the attendees, with all the presenters around this particular sensitive issue that we are talking about, that we are trying to tackle. Thank you very much. Can we then share that video?
Gender-based violence is an affront to our shared humanity as South Africans. The unrelenting murder of women in our country for no reason other than that they are women is steadily corroding the soul of our nation. Survivors of sexual violence and abuse, be it physical, psychological, or economic, often live with these scars for a very long time. When abuse occurs in situations of trust, whether in the family, whether in the church, in the schools of our nation, or elsewhere, the sense of betrayal is indeed intensified. The physical and psychological effects may look like they are receding, but they very rarely disappear.
President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa has condemned the surge in violence against women and children, but femicide remains on the rise in the country. A 41-year-old Umzumbe woman was murdered recently, along with a 15-year-old daughter, allegedly by the woman's boyfriend. The incident took place in front of the woman's younger children.
A 24-year-old female student from Fort Hare University has been arrested for the murder of a 24-year-old. The community of Soshanguve outside Pretoria is threatening violence if the principal of Kensani Primary School does not resign. This after the rape of a grade 1 pupil allegedly on school premises last week by a general assistant.
Education in Gauteng after a school bus driver was arrested after he allegedly sexually molested a 13-year-old primary school pupil.
One of the lines we used to tell our teacher trainees, if you can't discipline them, you can't teach them. So that's a starting point. They have to be willing to sit down, to listen, to take instructions. So if they can't just even do that basic, then you can't teach them. So discipline is just crucial, because it affects even the morale of, let alone that you can't do the basic business of teaching. If kids are rowdy, they don't take instructions, they don't listen, you can't teach them. But you can't run an institution again when, as I said, in that school that Yusuf was telling me about, where you have a group of boys who are just running amok, who will bully everybody around. You can't run that institution. So discipline is fundamental. It's one of the key issues. And this boy who killed the teacher, because he was being reprimanded, I'm told the teacher reprimanded him a day before. So which means he just refuses to be disciplined. And you can't teach, you can't run an institution, especially with young people, if you are not able to discipline them. So it's key and critical.
Have declared that will make the school ungovernable. Not only this school, but all the schools in Soshanguve will make them ungovernable until the principal and the class teacher of a learner also are removed in the school, because one of the reasons why they've been rude and insensitive to this case.
I'm still angry and I'm hurt. Yes, because I can feel the pain. I'm a mother. I can feel the pain of the mother that the child was being raped in the school.
This 12-year-old reported her teacher for trying to have sexual intercourse with her.
First time we were doing athletics and teacher asked me to go and sleep with him at the grade 4 class and that he will give me 50 rand. I then asked him, can't he see that I'm very young? Then he said, is it only adults who sleep? And I just ran away from him. The second time he sent me to go and put books at the staff room, and he blocked me from leaving, asking me to sleep with him, and I managed to open the door and ran away crying.
Shocked by pupils, teachers and parents, the girl's father became suspicious when the teacher phoned his daughter on her birthday. He later discovered pornographic material on her phone.
So we started this project to educate the smaller ones, because most of the incidents that we have seen is that smaller kids from grade R, they are also being abused and raped and they do not have a voice. So we train them to make sure that they are able to say no when someone is making them uncomfortable in their bodies. And also to educate boys to be part of this, not just stand by and watch and think this is about women and girls, they're not involved.
The play has now evolved into something bigger. It's been recorded so that it can be shared, hoping to make an impact beyond their own community. These 13-year-old learners also feature in the play.
If you're being abused, speak to an adult, because if you keep it to yourself, your abuser will not stop. I'm appealing to men and boys that we respect women.
Gender-based violence is a big problem in our country, especially in our community, because breadwinners come home drunk or high, then they start to abuse their women and children, so they end up killing them.
From next year, the play will be part of the school's curriculum. It's hoped it will encourage more learners to speak out about GBV.
Ngizele ukuzocela uncedo kodwa ngiyakhonjwa ngangiphendula ama lawyer i8 ngibhizi ngiphendulana nabo ukuthi ngirejwe kanje ngirejwe ka left ngirejwe ka right. I didn't notice all of those things mangirejwa nokuthi Apollo where was it on my back, but there was Apollo. I have to describe ukuthi beka left or ka right. I had the first operation because I couldn't walk. What they find out that the time they raped me in 2 years back, they put the bread plastic on my vagina. That bread plastic is still there. That's why I can't move my leg. They did the first operation. I went home. In 2 days' time, I went back to the hospital because I couldn't eat. Everything was coming out from my mouth. I have 5 operations on my stomach. I will stand up, guys. Thank you. I'm sorry. I was not born like this. I was not.
What the government has actually been successful in doing is to raise awareness about this, raise awareness about gender-based violence, raise awareness about HIV and AIDS. Then it's up to you and me to actually take a decision about changing our own attitudes.
Which is why we say it is important to work with everybody, including the media, that must not be seen to be saying to our people there is no hope, although government is trying.
She suffered 3rd-degree burns after being her then boyfriend in 2010. She recalls how her life was ruined by a person she loved.
Put a